Top of the day to you. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Mindspace Community Podcast, proudly brought to you by mytherapist.ng. If this is your first time watching, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. So today is going to be an exciting episode. And before we head into it, I am your host. I am Olayemi Takuro. I will be heading this podcast, this session. I have with me in the studio a top professional. He's a clinical psychologist and a substance use addiction professional. Ladies and gentlemen, drum rolls for David Ndubisi. It's so great to have you with us in the studio today.
Oh, thank you very much. I just I'm just here doing my thing, enjoying your conversation. Thank you for your kind words.
Okay.
Yeah,
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. I'm doing fine. I think it's a misused word, How are you really doing?
Well, in this life, we need to navigate it in a certain way that we can cope. So that's why that choice of words, I'm quite well.
It's appropriate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's head right into it. So today we'll be talking on the topic overcoming substance use. So David, can you tell us exactly what is substance, abuse? What does it mean and how does it develop into an addiction?
Okay, thank you very much. Before we talk about substance addiction, let's talk about substance use,
Okay.
right? So substance use is the consumption of substances. Just to mention a few, I'm talking alcohol, I'm
Okay.
talking crack cocaine or cocaine, I'm talking tramadol, I'm talking codeine or marijuana.
Okay.
So, and these substances have the ability to alter your thoughts, that's your cognition,
Definitely.
your mood, and your behavior, ultimately speaking. So, when we move to substance abuse, right? Substance abuse is the excessive or harmful use of those substances I mentioned.
Okay.
So, in the circle of addiction, right, we have to look at the brain itself, and then there's a hormone or a neurotransmitter called dopamine.
Okay.
It is the happy hormone or
Yeah, the happy
when you lick ice cream you feel good.
Good.
You eat chocolate you feel good. So, but unfortunately, substances tries to trigger of that kind of responses in the brain.
Okay.
And when we talk about the cycle of addiction, this
Yeah.
is just when the brain has to depend on substances to make an individual feel normal.
Okay.
And that's just what it is in the cycle of
Okay.
addiction. And it's concerning, actually.
Okay, so in this circle of addiction that you mentioned, what are the processes or steps for you can say for a fact that, okay, I am addicted to this, or probably I'm addicted to, alcohol, to marijuana, or, hard drugs and things. Is there like a process that makes you, that you can use to identify that, okay, I'm in stage 1 or I'm in stage 2 of this whole cycle of addiction?
Yeah. So you see, it starts casually, just you venture into it and you decided to test it. Or
Okay.
maybe you just want to use it as a form of coping mechanism to escape
A lot of people
reality,
do
the
that.
basketballs of what
Yeah.
life gives human beings,
That's
these
true.
days. So, but as it goes like that, the brain is reducing what it's supposed to give you to function properly, which is dopamine, one of the neurotransmitters that is responsible for pleasure, right?
Yeah.
So, and substances also trigger that response.
Yeah.
So, as you venture into substances casually, it then gradually progresses. That I've heard some clients, when I happen to have conversations, they said, yeah, I started with just a puff or a drag
Just a
of
puff.
marijuana,
Just a taste,
Yeah, just and I just felt a rush or I feel good, I feel high, I feel cloud nine, But what happened is that at some point your brain is reducing what it's giving you, and you have to keep on increasing the number of sticks
That means
you
you're
have to take.
relying on
Do
that.
you understand? You're
Okay.
getting dependent on it.
On
So
it.
it shifts from, okay, I could just do my daily activities and be happy with it, to the point of, okay, I need that
This has to be
substance.
included into
You
it.
understand? And that's
Okay.
how it goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. That's quite explanatory. Okay, so what are the effects that addiction can cause for a person, as regards their relationships, their life, their families? Because, addiction is a very serious matter, I feel like. And I feel like it has a lot of, consequences for a person. By the time you become addicted to something, it so happens that you cannot even leave. You cannot the entire time you're just mainly thinking about, I need to get this, I need to use this drug, I need to take alcohol. So what effects do you think it can have on the individual's relationship outside the person?
Of course, substance use, I've always said it's a global menace,
Yeah,
right? It's just something that does not respect anyone, age, gender, whatever it is.
exactly.
So I will start like this. The first impact of substance use, short term um, happiness. That is the first step. Short term happiness. But on the long run, or over continuous use,
Use,
prolonged
yeah.
use,
Yeah.
right? It could lead to signs or symptoms of like anxiety, depression, and ultimately speaking, psychosis, loss of touch of reality from reality. So I can imagine that is what happens when you prolong use of
Of the
substance. Yeah.
substance, yeah.
So then when we talk about the relationship aspect, right?
Yes.
We're talking of someone that has to spend money to get substances. We are talking about, okay, once I waste or I finish up this money, how am I going to be doing? Where will I get
Another one.
another one, right? And substances does something very significant to the brain. It clouds the judgment. It shrinks the brain. So when somebody engages in substance use, right, it's just like you're supposed to make appropriate decisions, right? But you can't do that anymore because everything is just revolving around substances. So as regarding relationship, it will affect the trust, it will affect your responsibility, just a lot of things that is going on actually. So and families would like, I can't trust
This
girl,
person,
this
because
person, this
she's not in
boy,
her right mind, or he's not in his right
with
mind.
my money or anything. That's just how it is. And ultimately speaking, the community. I mean, somebody that is supposed to be a medical doctor or being a lawyer has ventured into substance
Abuse.
abuse, right? And some maybe let's say he even started off right in life, make right choices, but he ventured into substances and he derailed. And this is concerning. It's really
It is.
concerning because we are supposed to be out there saving lives. We are supposed to be
Exactly.
out there, making laws, make
Making
everything.
impacts.
We have mechanics, engineers, and all that, but
Yeah.
these people they venture into substances, and the community suffers, society suffers, and
I
that's how
mean,
it
I
is.
mean, you're right. I read in an article that it was estimated that 14.3 million youths within the age range of 15 to 65 are like addicted to substances. So imagine how many are we in this country exactly? Okay, following the statistics I saw, I think they said we're like 232 million. I'm not sure if that's correct, but
Yeah,
out of that amount of people, imagine having 14.3 million youths addicted to substances. That's a whole lot of family members and relationships that are at loss.
of course, it's just you see. I'll quote a theory,
Okay.
Albert Bundaras. It states that basically a child learns by observing.
Definitely.
So let's come back to the age range you gave to me, right? Let's imagine adults, or adolescents to imagine adults,
Yeah.
right? So there are factors. Imagine a child, growing up and in the house, there's history of substance use. Probably the father smokes cigarettes and, there are ashtrays. He's observing. That is the
Everything.
parent,
Yeah,
right? We
definitely.
have the environment at large. You go out, you send your child to go get something, and he's seeing uncle taking something
Smoking
good,
and yeah.
at the side. And these are, let's even talk about our artists, the likes of Great Fella. He's singing, playing his sax and his instrument, whatever,
Yeah.
on stage, but he's with marijuana, and we tend to want to get those kind of behavior. We want to live like that.
Just like
The
people we
success
look up
story
to.
behind it is it's not something to look at. But as a child, what we see is what we want to be,
Imitate and
of
be.
course.
Yeah.
And this is concerning. We just a whole lot of work to be done in this sphere.
That's absolutely right. The environmental causes is like number one. From childhood, what you see your parents do, you want to imitate without even knowing that you are imitating it, but you are actually, you do something sometimes and you're like, that was what my mom did when she was younger, and then I'm doing it. So I understand that fact. But when it comes to, leaving the environment of where the parents are, there's also this peer pressure, especially when you go to school and they see your friends, or you see your friends what they are doing, and then probably, sometimes some people tend to pick up attributes that their counterparts are exhibiting.
Yeah.
So I think peer pressure as well is a grave and is an important factor in this,
Yes, of course. And peer pressure can also predispose someone to taking substances. And there are a lot of psychodynamics in that mix. But, these are things that when we start delving deeper into the causes, we can go as back as bullying behavior. We can go as back as child neglect. We can go as back as some child abuse, some form of trauma, right? And this is bringing up self-esteem concerns,
Issues, yeah.
Self-efficacy concerns.
Definitely.
And for a child to feel validated among their friends, of course, they will want to let take something, let's see whether you belong, right? So,
yes.
Of course, the peer pressure is part of it.
That's true. Thank you so much for sharing that insightful one with us. So, what are the actionable steps for individuals that want to overcome, drug addiction or substance addiction? It can be alcohol, whatever kind of addiction. Are they like actionable steps they can take towards overcoming this?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. You see, over the years, I have had this conversation with some of my colleagues.
Okay.
We always have this, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but something to learn from. We have clients that come into the rehab involuntary admission. That means their families have to like
Push
deceive them,
yeah.
Bringing them to the rehab. But, the first step to recovery is admittance.
Acceptance is the beginning.
That is just it. You just have to acknowledge that, I've floored the pedal down. I'm on the highway. I need to press brake. So, but because of the impact of substances, being that it clouds judgment, people somewhat do not get that awareness that, hey, I'm on the highway. I need to take a step back, right? So these are concerns. But the first step, you need to admit that, yes, there's a problem somewhere.
Okay.
And, we then, from that, we then move to social support, the support system, right? The support system, how are they able to help you in your pathway to recovery? Okay, let's see how it goes. This is something that we can do on our own, or we can take you to a much more medical inclined environment,
facility,
because we are looking at something called withdrawal syndrome.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what that is. Withdrawal syndrome happens or occurs during the abrupt reduction or stop of a substances, which you're already dependent on.
Okay.
So once you remove it, the the body has to react. Of course,
suddenly taking away what he's used to.
Definitely, right? So dopamine is really, let's say your brain is giving you 50% of dopamine.
Okay.
But then it recognizes you're taking something alien from outside that's also triggering that response. So it has to reduce, right? For you to maintain taking that. But over prolonged use, your brain reduces or completely stops giving you. So you have to be dependent on
that substance.
So the time you just stop taking that, a whole lot of signs and symptoms you will experience, if ultimately psychosis. And we can't be having somebody in the same space where he's hallucinating or having strong delusions. We can't be having somebody in an environment.
That's dangerous.
Yes, do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's why we now move to rehabilitation. From social support, we move to rehabilitation program, where you have professionals that are trained in this line of work to be able to handle that appropriately.
Okay.
When you're feeling withdrawal symptoms, they are there to help out. Then you also need to have your own recovery goal, what you want to do after
Why do you want
recovery.
to change?
How you want to, because as you're going through the rehabilitation program, you need to also work on yourself,
Definitely.
right? Then we move to just substituting substances to something positive.
Okay.
It could be substituting it with exercising, going to the gym,
Yeah.
weightlifting. I've seen guys that do that. Or it could mean just hanging out with friends, non-substance use, or even friends that have lived experience, but they are on the journey of recovery as well. So they understand
the whole process.
and the complex nature of substance use, because it's not something that stops in a day, right? It's just like I always use it to my clients that if you give a child a sweet, right, and the child takes that sweet, licks it, then you take it away from him. What do you think the child?
She's going to start crying, or
Of
he's going to
course.
start crying.
So
He
these are things, and right, I believe that with these 4 processes I've mentioned, right, I think you'll be on a lovely pathway to recovery.
Okay.
That's just it.
Amazing. So we talk about support systems, right? So support system, aside the recovery, can it also be like family members, trying to help this person get better?
Of course. You see, one thing about support systems, let me give a hypothetical scenario.
Okay.
As a human being, we all have spinal cord. I mean, I want to believe we have spinal cords, right?
Definitely.
And without spinal cord, you can't move.
Yes.
You can't move your hands or anything. It's just your vegetable, basically.
You can't do anything, yeah.
Right. I can liken that to support systems. They're like backbone when an individual is trying to find or navigate his way through the pathway of recovery. So it's very important. And the support system, like family and friends, they need to understand, because if they don't understand this menace called substance abuse, we would go back to the same old circle.
They relapse
There
again.
might even be the triggers, right?
True.
Because you haven't forgiven me for venturing into this thing. So, of course, you don't believe me. Anything I have to say to you, that would affect me, make me be feeling depressed.
Then you want to go back to where you're coming from.
The whole circle begins again. So the family is a crucial. It's just a recovery capital. That's just how it is.
That's true, because I think a lot of people get it wrong too, because they feel like this person, okay, even if the person is my family member, this person is abusing a drug, and they want to make the person feel like an outcast. They want to limit interaction with the person, and I think it's not going to be helpful to people aspiring to get better.
Yeah, it's very important. Families need to be educated on this.
Definitely.
This thing called
substance abuse.
They need to be enlightened. They need to know what it is and how it. You can only understand it from a second perspective, but there's a saying that it's only somebody that wears the shoe that knows where it pinches.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but it doesn't just affect the individual. It affects everybody connected to that individual. So if you say, I have other children, as long as that person is your blood and it's under the bridge, it's still part of your family, and they'll still be, people
your
looking
name still come back to you.
Do you understand? So
Definitely.
You need to do something about it. You need to educate yourself. Or if you can't really understand it as a family, you can't really get yourself to educate yourself, there should be a professional that can psychoeducate you. That's just what it is.
So how can family or friends or people get educated? Are there any platforms to, get, if you have someone that obviously uses substance and abuses it, or you want to try to make the person get better? Like you mentioned earlier, involuntary. Like they may not even want to get better, or they might not even, know the steps to take. Or are there any, platforms where they can reach out to for support?
Yeah, definitely, of course. One of my favorite platforms, basically, mytherapist.ng. This is, I have been getting clients that come in for this issue called substance abuse. And it's very important because if there is no affordable platform like mytherapist.ng to be able to, handle this menace in an appropriate manner, I don't think we will have
a lot of things we couldn't go wrong.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So mytherapist.ng is good.
Okay. So are there any like resources that people can check online as well? They can look up things that they can use aside switching out to platforms like mytherapist.ng. Probably, online sites and platforms that they can make use of.
Yes, of course. You see, when you're making researches, you can only get general knowledge.
Definitely.
Basically, general knowledge. But when we try to handle this issue called substances, right, and somebody has ventured into it, it takes a multifaceted approach. So the only thing you can do online is to just use Google. Go on Google.
And Google brings out
substance use, the prevalence. You know what it's like.
Google brings out, in fact, Google brings out the good, the bad, the ugly, everything for you.
So that's why, we try to advise that you have to seek a professional in that field.
Definitely.
Because Google might give you everything that will even cause anxiety symptoms and make you even feel worse than you already feel.
True.
But Google can only give you general knowledge, but seek professional advice. That's just what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that, David. So, for people that they want to get better, they don't want to relapse, but they keep going back to where they came from. Is there like a word of advice you can give them? Someone watching right now that is going through this, that probably thinks it's not possible to get better, that even thinks that reaching out to people to help you doesn't work. There are a lot of people that might think that way. They are watching right now that need help. Do you have like any word of advice for them, just to encourage them to get better?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, for people out there, relapse is part of recovery. You can't just say you're being intentional, you're being committed to whatever coping mechanism you have been doing so far.
Yeah.
Relapse is always part of recovery. You shouldn't beat yourself up. There's, like I've always said, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Definitely not.
So the steps you are taking to maintain that recovery is validated. Is very much validated.
Definitely.
And nobody should make you feel otherwise. You are doing the work, and just remember, you are always a step to regain control over your mental health. That's what's important. Stay positive. Okay.
Thank you very much for your wise words. In fact, I'm going to take that, just remember that you're always a step, in getting better. Thank you so much for being with us, David.
Thank you very much.
So can you share your social media accounts where people can reach out to you, contact you, in case you want to hear more from you?
Well, so it might be like a double life I'm living, but okay. I could share my Instagram handle.
Okay.
You can get me there, official Dave Sax _.
Okay.
So I play the saxophone as well.
Oh,
so don't be shocked
look at that.
when you get there.
You're a licensed, therapist, and you play the saxophone.
Yes, music therapy is very good.
Music therapy, true. When you mentioned that people can substitute, but it's kind of like you're substituting an addiction for another addiction.
Well, it's you would like to put it that way, but I would say it's a therapy. Music is therapeutic.
Music is definitely therapeutic.
Even if it's going to be an addiction,
it's going to be a good
one. Healthy one. It's a healthy.
So there are healthy addictions and non-healthy addictions. But yeah, I think that's true. For someone like me, I think probably going to the gym will be a better idea and stuff. Although going to the gym is quite,
I can understand.
Don't let me see. The first day you go to the gym, it's all good, it's sweet. The second day, your body will tell you.
Of course.
Your body will tell you.
Yeah.
The second day, okay, when I first started going to the gym, it was not because I was battling with an addiction.
Yeah.
It's just because I just needed to get my mind off, probably thoughts that I had at that point.
Yeah.
So I felt like a gym is going to be a good, something
Yes,
to replace, me thinking and all of that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's good. It's a good
for
grounding
a
technique.
week,
Yeah.
I could not sit without help. I could not run. But then at the end of the day, what's good for your health, is good for your soul, good for your body is what you should look for.
Very important.
Yeah. So thank you very much for being with us, David.
Thank you very
So before we end the session today, I think I would just like to remind you, if you're watching, that you are not alone and you deserve a healthy lifestyle. So I think we should say this together. I am not alone. I deserve a healthy lifestyle. Okay, so if you're watching, please do not forget to like, to subscribe, to comment, share this video to your friends and your family. Do not forget that you are not alone. You deserve a healthy lifestyle. And this Mindspace Community Podcast is proudly brought to you by mytherapist.ng. So if you have any issue, mental health issue, addiction issue, substance issue, they have a team of licensed therapists that you can speak to. They can counsel you, and they're going to be with you every step of the way. So please, you can check out mytherapist.ng on Instagram, but please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. I am Olayemi Takuro, your host for this session. Thank you for staying and watching till the end. We'll see you another time. Bye for now.